Hello everyone, I've just received the latest Tag of the Month kit from Padilla of Piles of Paragraphs. Laurie is one of the admins in our Facebook group, the Mixed Media Emporium, and she has an Etsy shop called Piles of Paragraphs. She sells lots of her altered photographs that she's made up into greetings cards, odd journals as well, but primarily her biggest seller is this Tag of the Month kit, which lots of people are now starting to take part in. Now, this is the tag kit for April. And this is what comes with it. It comes in a bag like this with all your bits and pieces, and you've got enough here to make one tag. You can use all of the bits and pieces that she provides, a few of them. You can add your own, and she encourages to do so as well. Please feel free to create the tag you want, add any of your own products, and use only the parts of the kit that work for you. So, you can add other bits and pieces from your own stash to it if you want to. And she always gives an example as well as to how the tag can be made up, but of course every single person will do it differently. And if you go onto Instagram and put in hashtag piles of paragraphs, you'll see lots of the tags that have been created from Laurie's kits. But in this one we've got various pieces of thread in beautiful pastel colours. This is a really pretty colourful set. Some purple yarn, a piece of pale blue lace, that's really pretty, a little daisy flower, a piece of yellow netting, and then we've got the various pieces of paper here. So we've got this patterned plaid paper, and then various coordinating ones that pick out all the colours that are in the plaid, a few sequins again that match the colours here, and then a focal image. And this is taken from one of Laurie's altered photographs. So that's what we've got to play with this month. And of course this cardstock here you can use for your tag base if you want to. Now, for anybody who's been following along with the tags that I've been creating so far, these are the two that I've created already. So this is the third kit, and you can see that I've mounted both of these onto a piece of craft cardstock. So again, I've done the same. I want to keep sort of like a theme going with the tags that I create from Laurie's kit. Okie dokie. Now I've had a look at the kit to see what I might want to do. Let me just grab my scissors. I'm going to start off by preparing my focal image. So I'm just going to cut around the border of this photograph here, this image, carefully as I can. Here we go. And then I'm going to mount it onto a piece of the cream cardstock. So here we go, carefully does it right. Okie dokie, get rid of the extra bits and bobs. You can see that I've pulled out a piece of paper from my stash as well that I thought might go really well. So I want to mount this onto the cream piece of cardstock because I just think that looks really nice. So I'm going to use a piece of deli paper. I'm going to glue this down just with my glue stick. Move that out of the way because it's creating a ridge, so plenty as usual around the edges. Peel that up, here we go, and I'm just going to pop that down like that, and then I'm just going to take it to my paper trimmer and just trim a nice straight border around the edges. So that's how that looks. I just think those colours tie in together really well. And then I'm going to create myself another border, and let's just find a nice area for it to go on where we've got lots of the pretty flowers. I think there. I'm going to glue it down to this piece of paper here and trim again. So bring back the deli paper. Let's do that. Find a clean area so that I don't get any glue on my pretty image, and then I can work backwards then. At least I know what's going to be the star, as it were, of the show. I just find it easier to work this way, but of course you can work in any way you like. So I'm going to glue that down there like that. It was there, wasn't it, that I wanted it, not in fact, I think I prefer it there. There we go. Let me just wipe that glue off quickly. Let's just wipe that glue away. And again, I'm just going to take this to my trimmer and just trim a nice border around the edge here as well. Now I'm going to glue the piece of plaid patterned paper to the top of the tag. So let's just pop that down. Here we go, and make sure we've got plenty of glue. And then I'm just going to stick that down to the top. I'm all sticky already. Just make sure that I've got that lined up, and then I can trim around the edges. Let me just grab my bone folder or a credit card. I had a tidy up yesterday, and of course now I can't find anything. We'll use a lollipop stick, that will do. I need to get my act together. And then I'm going to leave that for a minute or two to dry, and then trim around the edges. Now I've also pulled another item out of my stash. I've got this beautiful duck egg blue linen fabric that matches perfectly with the colour scheme. It goes with the paper here, and I'm just going to glue that on like that. Now bring back my deli paper. I'm going to use my glue stick, but I'm also going to use a little bit of Fabri-Tac as well, or three in one. So we'll have this on here like this, and then I'm just going to add a tiny bit of Fabri-Tac as well. Where is it? Here we go. Concentrating on having some around the edges, and I'm just going to smooth this out with my finger because Fabri-Tac has a tendency to bleed through fabric, as we know. So I'm just going to smooth that out so that it's a nice thin layer. This was a tip that Laurie gave me. So there we go. And then move that out of the way, and I'm just going to quickly pop that on like that. I found my bone folder as well. I'm not worried if that isn't completely straight, because I'm going to hide that seam anyway with something else. So there we go, and then I'm just going to trim around the edges. So next step, I've pulled out some of the Arteza acrylic paint in yellow pale. I'm just going to put a small amount on this piece of acrylic here. This is just Perspex, and thin it out. I'll just thin that out with my finger. Just wipe myself off. And I've also got a stamp here. Now this is from one of the Paper Artsy sets. It's this one here. This is a really old set. And I'm just going to stamp some flowers on my background. So I'm just going to dip, here we go, just dip the stamp into the paint. Let me just grab another, smooth that out of the way, another piece of deli paper just to catch any excess. And I'm just going to stamp some flowers like this, and I'm going to have some off the page. And this will just add a bit of a background to this plain piece of fabric. And we'll just have one down here. And then another one over here like that. And that should do it. I feel as if I want one over here as well. There we go. I'm happy with that. So I need to set that aside now just to dry. Okie dokie. So I want to try and pull the piece of scrapbooking paper with the fabric together, and I've pulled out some of my ribbons, which are sort of, you know, real Eastery themed to match the kit that Laurie has sent. And I've also got one of these flower trims here. I just love that. Doesn't that look pretty? And you see that just blends everything together beautifully and picks up the colours in the focal image as well. So that's definitely what I'm going to do. So let's have a look. Let's just trim a piece of this so that we're not playing around with so much. And we can do the same here as well. So I'm just going to trim that there. And you see that matches really well with the little daisy that we've got to find a special spot for as well. So I am just going to apply a little bit of 3-in-1. I want my deli paper just to protect my surface again. I'm just going to apply a line across there, like that, and stick the gingham down. And also, where have I put my flowers as well? And so I'm just going to stick these down as well. Which is the front and which is the back? That's the back. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to apply a tiny dot of glue just to the centre of each of the flowers. Ooh, come back. There we go. And stick that on like that. I love that. That's really, really pretty. I definitely want to have this piece of lace at the bottom here because that just looks really, really pretty. So I'm going to glue that down. What I will do, bring back another piece of deli paper. I'm just going to apply a small bead to the top here. Just because, again, I don't want it bleeding through. So I'm just going to put a fine line across the top there, like that. Make sure I've got plenty on. I could probably do with thinning my glue down a bit. We'll blend that out with my finger and then pop that down. Oh, come back. Make sure I've got that straight. Okie dokie, so my lace has been weighted down under a heavy book, so that is now permanently fixed. Now I want to try and tie the purple tones in from the top of the tag, so I'm just going to add another layer, just want a touch of the purple here. So I'm just going to apply some glue to the back again. I love that pretty blue daisy paper. Did I say this was from Tiger? It was a paper pack, an origami pack from Tiger that I got a few weeks ago before all this crazy lockdown business. And it's just got some really pretty papers in it. So I'm just going to stick that down like that. And again, trim a nice border around the edges for myself. Let's pop the lid back on. Just use my bone folder again just to make sure that that's glued down nicely and it isn't going to come unstuck. So I'm just going to take this off to my paper trimmer. Okie dokie, everything's starting to come together now. I want to ink around the edges just so that my focal image stands out more on my background. So I'm just using frayed burlap distress ink to do that. It is frayed burlap, isn't it? Yep, frayed burlap. You see, that looks better, and we'll give it sort of more of a shabby chic feel to it as well. I like that. I also want to ink around the rest of the tag as well. So I'm just going to go all around this, just grunge it up just a little bit. I don't want to cut these off. You'll see why in a second. So I'm just going to pull the fabric forward just so that I can get in there like that. I'm also going to ink around this part here too. And that's just grunged it up a bit. I like how that looks. Here we go. So we're more shabby chic now. Right, okie dokie. This is what I've got left. I've got all of these threads and these pieces of paper. I am thinking I would like to add sort of like a tab closure like I've got here. And I think these two pieces of paper might look quite nice here. So I am just going to trim this down on my paper trimmer so that I can layer those up, I think. So you can see I've cut my piece of lilac paper to size, and I've already inked around the edges. I'm going to do the same with the blue as well, just to tie everything together. This just gives it a really nice look as well. I really like this. And I'm just going to grab another piece of deli paper and glue the lilac on top. And can you see what's happening? The lilac at the bottom here is pulling the tones at the bottom here together. And by mounting these two together, it's pulling the duck egg blue together at the top. So I really like how that coordinates. So let me just apply some glue over this. Oh. Come on, you. And I can stick that down there. Oh, I'm stuck to the fabrics. So we'll just centralise that. That will do nicely. And again, just smooth it down with my bone folder. Yep, I'm liking that. And so I just want to fold this in half now, just to make myself a tab. So that's going to go on the top there, I think. Right, okie dokie. I have decided to add an eyelet to the top here. So I've marked the centre of my tag. So I'm just going to punch a hole like this, and I'm just going to set this with my crocodile. I like the white because it ties in with the daisy here as well. So I'm just going to carefully set that. There we go. So that looks pretty. And then I am going to add my, I think, how do I want to do this? I think I'll poke it through like this, and we'll make a little tab, a little tie. Right, I need a piece of wire. This isn't going to go through very easily. So I've just got my makeshift needle, which just makes life a whole lot easier. In fact, I'm going to add some of these as well. So let's just pop those together. Let me just unravel that again. So I'm just going to take them all, and then I'm just going to poke these through like this. Here we are. And then I can loop those through. Yeah, I'm liking how that looks, and I can maybe trim those later. I just want to see what that looks like for the time being. And then I am thinking that my little tab can go on the top like this. So we'll have that there. I need to ink around the edges of this outside tag as well. You see, I just love how that looks layered. It's just really, really pretty. So I've inked around my tag. I'm now going to glue my little tab onto the top. So I'm just going to put some of my 3-in-1 all the way around like this on both sides. There we are. And oh, come back and make sure that I glue that down in the centre. So let's just eyeball this, make sure we get that into the right place. Just to go over slightly about there. There we go. That will do. So we'll smooth that down. Make sure I've got it straight as well, because otherwise that will really bug me. And then I can glue that down as well. Yeah, I'm going to glue. Yeah, do I want to do that? Yes, I do. So I'm just going to apply more glue all the way around the outside of my tag like this. Let's centralize that. So that's going to go there like that. Make sure I've got it evenly spaced on both sides. I'm liking that. And then I'm just going to apply a tiny bit of glue just to the outside there like that, just so that I can glue that down. Tiny weeny bit. Then I'm going to trim the excess. If it starts to fray afterwards, that's okay, that's fine. I want to cut these flush like this. So that looks really pretty. And again, I need to weight this down for a minute or two underneath a heavy book just to make sure that that's not going to come unstuck. But first of all, I'm just going to glue this on here like that. So again, these colours are just so pretty. This is a real Easter vibe, this one, isn't it? There we are. Make sure I get it the right way up, and again centralize that nicely. That's fine, and I'm just going to weight that down underneath a heavy book just for a minute or two. Isn't that pretty? Now I've decided I'm going to trim this just so that they're a bit more equal. It just looks a bit lopsided, so that looks better. And then I'm going to add some of the sequins onto the daisies like this. I think that might look quite pretty. So I've pulled out all the pinky tone ones, so we'll add these along here like that. Now I find that 3-in-1 and Fabri-Tac doesn't seem to glue things like this down very well, so I've pulled out some of my in fact it's not glossy accents, it's Anita's 3D clear gloss gel, and this is just absolutely perfect for things like this. In fact, what I'll do is, it's probably easier if I apply a dab of glue. Whoops, that was probably a bit too much, but never mind, it will dry clear. So it's easier to add that there like that. And so I'm just going to go along all of them and try not to apply too much. There we go, just a tiny dab. So I'm just going to go off and do that so that I can get up close and concentrate and see what I'm doing. I've also applied some glue to the back of my daisy, so I'm just going to pop that down there like that. That looks really pretty. Now I feel, and I don't know whether you agree, that it's all top heavy. I feel that I want something else down here, and I've pulled out some more trim from my stash. This was given to Alex years ago when he first was learning to sew, and it was the lady who makes our curtains gave him a whole load of upholstery trims and things like that, and they've just been in my closet with all of his sewing stuff, and I just think that's perfect. I think that will look lovely along the bottom. So let me just trim that off there like that, because I want to just be careful where I'm going to trim it. I just think that will look really nice. So I'm going to centralise that, make sure I get it in the right place. I'll use some Fabri-Tac for that. Let's apply some glue all the way along here. There we are. And then I can make sure I centralise those beads, just so that they're even on either side. I want to be able to see the top of the lace as well. That's about right there. Stick that down. And then I want to add a quote as well. So let me just go and dig one out and see where I might be able to put it. And then I'm calling that done. So I found myself a quote, look on the bright side, and I've pulled out this quote for two reasons. One, because we're coming into spring, and so, you know, the days are starting to get brighter. We've had more sunny days, although it's a bit grey and miserable out there today, but I think we're due some nice warm temperatures at the weekend. And also, you know, the current situation that we're in, we've got to see, you know, good in it, haven't we? And the fact that it's bringing families together. I mean, we are particularly enjoying sitting down at the table at night and, you know, eating together as a family, which we don't tend to do just because of, you know, everybody working and that kind of thing. So, you know, I'm trying to look for positives in all of this. So I'm just going to add some glue to my quote. And let's just, you know, keep our fingers crossed that everybody stays safe and well and that we're out of this situation soon. And I'm going to pop that down there like like that. Make sure that I've got it central. Is that about right? So here's my finished tag from the April tag of the month kit. Again, so much fun to do. I've used most of the bits and pieces. I've got the netting left, and that's because it got lost. I could not find it anywhere until I was tidying up. I've got a few of the bits of paper and some of the fibres and just a few of the sequins. Now, this was the tag kit for April. I think the May one should be ready anytime now. This was the one I did in March, and of course this was the one that I did in February. You'll find the link to the playlist in the description box below if you want to see how I made any of the other tags. I'll also leave the link to Laurie's Etsy store called Piles of Paragraphs. At the time that I bought this, it was just under £6 including shipping. Of course, it all depends on the exchange rate. Laurie is based in the US, but my kit arrived within a week. But if you enjoyed today's video, as always, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. Do let me know what you think in the comments below, and take care everyone. I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.